How's it going, guys? Cryptobud here for today. Hopefully you guys are all having a great day here and enjoying the market, just kind of sidewinding a little bit. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about my top 3 picks, undervalued picks for 2018. And I think you guys will find these to be fairly interesting. Now, the criteria for these picks are as follows. They have to have a working product, number one. Number two is they have to have some sort of business relationship to them. And the third thing is they need to have liquidity. So these are pretty much my research focused coins that I've been developing. If you have not joined my Discord group, it's going to be a place where I'm going to go ahead and discuss a little bit more about my methodologies of how I select these coins and how I go about doing them. But this recent sell-off that we had has been a gift of sorts, because it's basically brought a lot of these coins down back to unbelievable prices that I think are going to be rock bottom solid for some of these, and the potential for them are going to be huge. All right, so let's take a look at my undervalued coins that I think are considered to be good. And again, full disclaimer, I hold these coins because I believe in them. All right, so the first one is going to be Simple Token. That's right, guys. This is a micro cap coin. Simple Token, the symbol is OST, is traded on Binance. It is a $164 million market cap, which gives it a lot of room to run. It only has a $257 million supply count with 800 outstanding. Now, the reason why I picked this coin specifically is because I believe that Simple Token has a pretty good I think, proposition to the problems that we have right now with the ICO market, and now specifically with the scalability problem. So let me explain that in a bit. First off, in the price chart, Simple Token has dropped from a high of about $1.20 and it's gone down to about 40 cents right now, and right now it's trading at about 60. So it's rallied quite a bit from its current from the low point of 45 cents. Usually when I look for coins, I'm looking for coins that have this rebound effect, meaning that they've fallen from grace, they ran up pretty good, and then now they're just basically recovering. And that tells me that the market sold these coins off indiscriminately. And I think that Simple Token is one of those coins. So just looking at price action alone, I think it hasn't really moved that much, and I think that gives it a little bit more headway in. So let's talk a little bit about what Simple Token is. Simple Token, in a nutshell, what it really is a way to power up communities together using specifically cryptocurrencies. So think of it as another platform coin. And I really like platform coins because number one is they have these things called fat protocols. Fat protocols basically is a way for cryptocurrencies to build upon that platform, and Simple Token offers that for starters. The second thing I like about it is that it's engaged in business. Now, I haven't really talked much about it, but my research has indicated specifically that a lot of the tokens that are going to find value are going to be in a business environment. Example, Power Ledger, right? Anything that powers up businesses as a utility, I think is going to do much better than something where it's just peer-to-peer. Although peer-to-peer, I think it's a great idea. I think that having a business relationship with coins is much more important. Now, the first thing is that it's going to use Ethereum sidechains. That pretty much what it's going to do is that it's going to use the Ethereum network, but it's going to create sidechains off of it for businesses so that they're able to launch their own apps. And what they're going to do is they're going to build consumer app tokens, and they're going to use the blockchain infrastructure to build those without having to do everything from scratch. So think of it as if you were a business, let's just say you're trying to operate a small company and you want to get on the blockchain. You don't want to have the time or the resources to get a developer in there. Yes, you can send people to training. Yes, you can have people go in there and get the necessary technical skills. But if you don't have the funds, solution, Simple Token. Now, if you go into the website, they have a little video that kind of shows everything. Now, the reason why I like it so much is because if you go ahead and click on their articles that they have for the roadmap for 18, they already are they're adding 11 new partners to their startup. So pretty much what they're doing is facilitating technology partnerships with businesses so that they're able to build upon this token. And for the most part, if you take a look at it, they're launching 11 of them, and 9 of them have already previously announced partnerships. So they have about 20 in the pipeline. They are ready to use their network. So again, they have a working product. They have a fat protocol. And the third thing is they already have existing partnerships. So what's not to like? It's a complete blockchain toolkit. So pretty much it can accommodate any sort of businesses. Now, I've already talked about a couple of platforms on my channel specifically that deal with this, like Stratus, for example. And those are good. The problem with them is that they're targeting very large companies, and also they require a lot of investment up front for even the training. But what this company does is that it's like a one-stop shop. All right, so here are a couple of the newest 11 partners they have. One of them is called Treats, a mobile company. So they really focus on the mobile device applications that allows people to look for health advice. Pretty cool, huh? It's a little mini app that they kind of use the blockchain for. License Rock is another one that they're kind of using for decentralized software licensing using tokenizations. Radmule Labs is a mobile gaming company that they can use to build. Connecting Corhalo.io is a consumer app to enable instant Wi-Fi. Tribe Coins, a marketing platform. Lookhave, social fashion. Pretty cool, actually, if you think about it. Tomorrow is checking account for smartphones. Connect Sale, Kokomo Stars, medical trials. Anyway, the list goes on and on and on. So anyway, the whole point I'm trying to make with this, guys, is this. Whenever I'm looking at a coin that is severely undervalued, where people don't really look at it, I'm looking for viability and sustainability for this token. And all I'm seeing right now is a lot of companies are jumping on it, and I think that they're going to definitely have a lot of say in terms of how this platform gets used. So if you have not checked out OST, check it out. I think it's pretty cool. It's also listed on 3 of the top 5 token sales, and there's a little exchanges, and there's a little bit of the benefits of holding the token. Basically, they're creating branded tokens for your company, so you can create anything you want. Now, if you really think about it for a second, this really puts Ethereum's model, it cleans up Ethereum's model a lot, because there's no ICO sale, there's none of that. There's just basically, they can just tokenize the whole thing. So companies can just jump over the platform without having to go through the whole pre-sales and whatnot. So I think it's a user-generated app, very simple app, and I think it has a lot of different features, and it will complement the ICOs and all the other stuff really well, because basically mobile, I think it's the future. All right, the second undervalued coin I think is going to be Quantum. Now, Quantum, I've already covered extensively in my channel, so you guys already know that I'm a long-term holder of Quantum. In fact, I think Quantum is definitely one of those coins that has to be in somebody's portfolio. All right. And if you look at long-term undervalued holdings, it's going to be Quantum. Number one, it's fallen from grace, like everything. It's at $100, and now it's only $40. So you get almost a 60% discount from this coin off the high, which was back in January the 6th. Quantum has historically done very well. Well, actually, not historically, but it had this like massive pump that happened that just ran up nonstop, and all of a sudden it just kind of collapsed on itself. But what I like about Quantum, guys, is that Quantum has done a lot of new things that's basically fallen off the radar. It's a market cap of only 3 billion. Circulating supply is really low, 73 million, 100 million within range. And the other thing I like about Quantum is that it's, again, in the platform fat protocol space. And just to give you an idea of what they've done, for those guys who have not covered Quantum or not read about Quantum, is that they also do something very similar to Neo. They use a platform to build ICOs as a way to start developing other sorts of companies on there. They use a hybrid chain, which is a combination of Ethereum and Bitcoin. And so, but they actually did their own chain that they launched the mainnet a couple of months ago. Now, the new thing right now is that Quantum has done a bunch of PR stuff. So Patrick is the CEO, co-founder of Quantum. He is not as I would say popular as our Neo people, and a lot of people tend to compare both of them, Quantum and Neo. But I think both of them have a lot of pros. Now, what I like about Quantum is that it's actually trading really cheap right now, but also is that it's done a lot of relationships with other companies, specifically banking communities. For example, Bankout right here. If you take a look at it, they've also partnered up with Baofeng, which is basically China's Netflix, and to deploy about 50,000 nodes onto their Bocal Cloud division. And this is basically to help generate the traffic for the video streaming. That's something really interesting, but it just nobody really caught attention to that stuff. It's also in China's 360 Finance, and they're first developing their 360 commercial blockchain research. So they're actually doing a lot of things in China right now that are related to fintech, specifically in the financial district. They also partner up with ID Hub, which is a digital identity platform, very similar to what NEO is doing about this idea of a common identity that could go throughout different applications. Again, idea with Bocal Cloud, which is the streaming service, Luna Stars tokens, and pretty much if you take a look at it, they also have BChat, Zero. They've had, ever since I covered Quantum, guys, it's been like nonstop development what they've done, and I really commend this company just because I think that not only are they being very smart about how to launch their ecosystem, but they're also becoming very strategic with how they're going about that. One of the things I like about them is they're trying to do that satellite where they're going to launch into space where they can actually get internet in space. I think that's a really cool idea, something that I think is probably needed in China specifically. So take a look at Quantum, and I think you're going to find a lot of things that are very, very cool. Now, again, looking at the price action, I would be worried too much about the price. If anything, I'd probably be accumulating here just because the market cap is just so cheap based off what it's actually doing. So it's falling off the radar, and I think it's got a little bit of work it's got to get out here. All right, the next one's going to be Icon. Now, Icon, here's my BitConnect banner. That's horrible. Icon is going to be another platform that I really, really like. If you have not heard of Icon, I would suggest you take a look at it. It's actually a very good coin for an upcoming platform. Again, another platform-based coin. And you might say, wait a minute, there's a lot of platforms out there. Which one should I pick? Is there going to be one? I don't think there's going to be one platform. I think there's going to be multiple platforms for different solutions. And Icon is based in Korea. And let me just go over to the website real quick. The Icon is right now, unfortunately, I don't like its supply. It's about a 380 million coin supply for a 400. So out of all the ones I've covered so far, this one actually is the largest in terms of circulating supply count. Its market cap's about 3 billion. So again, it's not super undervalued, but I think relative to what's offering and relative to Ethereum and relative to some of the other top 10 coins, I think it's fairly reasonably cheap right now. It's actually went up all the way to about $12 a couple of days ago, and it went all the way down to 6, and now it's already back at 9. So pretty much it already had almost a 50% retracement. The charts, technically speaking, look like they're not too damaged because there's going to be a lot of catalysts going forward, and I think Icon has a lot of good things. So let's dive into Icon real quick. So Icon basically is same idea. It's a network, it's a platform that's going to connect enterprises together. So think of like companies that are going to connect with them. The three, I like to call it the trifecta. OneChain, and it's going to be Aeon, which are going to be partnering up with ICX. And one of the things I like about this company, guys, is that they're actually attempting to connect everything. Now, the key part in 18, it's going to be connectivity. Blockchains that can talk with each other. I think that's going to be more important than the actual ecosystem they're building. And the reason why I say that's because everybody right now is building their own blockchains, their own private blockchains. And what's happening is that they're going to have to communicate at some point, just like the internet. And what Icon's trying to do here is they're trying to be like the internet of the decentralized world. So in other words, that they're going to hyperconnect every single other blockchain throughout their system, private or public. And what they're doing is that they're working with the Korean government for starters, and they're also going to be working with reputable industries, and specifically in the high growth industries like insurance, securities, banks, and whatnot. It talks about some of the contracts they do. So they do blockchain, they do payments. So they do basically everything underneath the sun. and also scalability and so on. Now, this is where I think, in a nutshell, would pretty much summarize Icon. One of them is that they don't use the Ethereum network. They use their own proprietary platform called Loopchain. And this actually is good and bad in some cases. It's good because they may be able to solve the scalability problem with Ethereum, and specifically with the congestion. The only problem is, again, is that they're trying to build an entire infrastructure from scratch. So this is going to be, I want to see how this kind of works, but from my understanding, the Loopchain tech is pretty good and has a lot of different advantages towards Ethereum. And one of them being that obviously all of them use dApps. They use interchain, and then they use the real-time transactions, and they have a DEX, which is a decentralized exchange that Ethereum does not have. If you compare with EOS and Bancor, right? EOS, Bancor are trying to add things to Ethereum that Ethereum doesn't have, and Ethereum is trying to scale it. But Icon kind of reinvented the whole thing and just said, you know what, instead of having like 4 different types of tokens, we'll just do it all in one. And that's one thing I really like about it, is that their decision-making process is completely decentralized. So very similar to how EOS does it. And the other thing they do is they have these tier systems and multi-channels, which I have to go into the tech later. But in terms of the features of what they're providing that Ethereum doesn't have, I think Icon has learned from that mistake. Now, in terms of the catalyst going forward for Icon, pretty much what's going to happen is by 18, they're going to expand the DEX. They're going to build that out, and then they're going to have the mainnet coming out as well. So there's going to be a lot of different catalysts moving forward, not to mention the Korean government is funded by the Korean government. So that's another extra added plus that we're going to be seeing some news coming out of that space. All right, so if you look at all of these 3 coins, obviously they are running right now. So ideally, I should have probably gone Icon here when it was like at $2, which I did, by the way, at various points. My long-term strategy, especially these undervalued coins, is not to flip them or trade them. It's to hold them for the long run and hope that they're going to eventually materialize. And I think that in terms of, for example, what happened with Neo and some of the other coins, which I think are still good, but these are the ones I would kind of keep my eye on, especially when the price goes down and when people are not really talking about it. There hasn't been a lot of hype too much about Quantum and Simple Token, so I think that's a good time to kind of look at those. I also like the fact that they're all platforms, and I also like the fact that they're trading at a pretty good discount compared to the all-time high, although right now they're still already running, so I wouldn't say right now it's probably the best time, but obviously you can't pick your bottoms. So these are coins that I think are going to do well in they're undervalued in 18, and who knows, we'll see where we go. All right guys, Cryptobud out. Hopefully you enjoyed this video.